And there is definitely somewhere in here a threshold.
Liberame Domine, which decodes to mean extricate me, programmer. We might dream of people and places we had never seen as vividly as if we had seen them and actually known them. We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs.
Welcome back to another episode of the Floating Universe podcast.
There's an impression of transition, and then you're propelled into the next phase.
Now, if you don't mind, can we get on with your questions?
Well, sir, I'm not sure I understand the distinction between reflexive and voluntary nerve impulses.
Very good. Since our lab work today is a demonstration of just that distinction, why don't we proceed?
I don't know if you ever saw that podcast we did initially. I put it on YouTube and I made like the video. I think you saw that. You shared it with a bunch of people.
I saw some of it, yeah.
I'm going to do something similar. I'll take some of these clips from this, what we're doing now, and then I'll put it with, like clips from Dr. Phil and shit like that. So
Nice.
Cool, man.
You spend a lot of time editing these?
I'm trying to get to the point where I'm trying to just, it really made me become conscious of my speaking to like not say and stuff like that as much. But yeah, usually I go in and I want to make it real tight. So, or
Cool.
there's just extra bullshit we don't need. But anyway, so much to talk about. Let's get started. All right, we are recording. Let me just take a little sip here before I start running my mouth.
What you sipping on?
It's really, I'm sure this is trash water. I'm sure you're gonna.
Shit, nice.
I'm sure you know this, that they put
Pepsi.
they put salt in here, to make you
Yeah.
want to keep drinking it. So we'll talk about that
That's
because
what
I know
That's what I heard.
I mean, it's got magnesium sulfate and potassium chloride. And those, it's like every other scam. You drink the water, but the water they give you makes you more thirsty than when you drank it.
Oh shit,
I'm sure you know that, right? You didn't know that?
No, yeah, I knew that.
Okay, yeah. All right, good.
Sorry, my phone fell.
That's all. It's all good. If it falls, like I said, I won't use this whole interview. It's straightforward. I'll probably just take bits and pieces of it. But anyway, I'll give you a quick intro here. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Float Universe podcast. I am so glad we've got this guest back. I thought we would have him many times over in the past 5 years. It was 4 years since the podcast. We did episode 1. And I was a nobody. I had a little meme page, and you were somebody, and you decided to take a chance on me. So I'm so glad to have you back, because I thought for a while there was a few weeks, months there where I was trying to get a hold of you through multiple accounts, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is so big now. He has handlers, and when you have a handler, there's certain things you can do and say, and shows you can go on, and certain ones you can't. And I know I'm on the CIA's top 100 listened to podcast, so. It's only natural that I think people, and then again, like some of this subject matter is controversial. So I don't know what happened to you over the past 4 years. Then I discovered you. Well, let me back up a little bit. This is the 100th episode, and you're the very, very special guest, John Trilly, aka Cabbage Cat Memes, aka a bunch of other meme pages. But now, big thing is the Raw Meat Experiment. So welcome back to the 100th episode. Glad to have you back.
Thanks for having me, brother.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. So people that are into this content, we've been friends for quite a while, at least 5 years, because the memers in a Prius drinking kombucha video, I'm episode number 6, by the way, for anybody that wants to check that out. It's still on YouTube. That was 5 years ago. So it's been quite a journey. And for a while there, we kind of lost contact, or you kind of ducked out of your meme world or whatever you were doing. You were in the if people go back to that episode, you'll see we were talking about you were traveling the country in a Prius, and I was trying to set shit with floats as you go, but that kind of ended halfway through it. And then after that, you came back, we talked a little bit, and then you kind of disappeared. You kind of fell off the face of the earth. And then I don't know what was like a year ago or so, I kind of just randomly found you. You know, you weren't announcing it to people, this raw meat experiment, and I was very shocked and surprised, happily, because I know like one of the last times we talked, I was pushing no fap, and I was trying to quit weed. This is day 14 for me, so 2 weeks, no weed, which is
Congrats.
thank you. It's actually quite a big deal. So anybody that's going through trying to get sober, I know how hard it can be. It doesn't matter the substance; they can all equally draw you in. Like I can have a beer, some people can't. I can't have a joint, right? So it's all good. But I guess you went on these journeys. Like you really started to go down these journeys of, I guess you quit all these things like caffeine and weed and jerking off, and your life started changing. And then how did this raw meat experiment come along? Because yeah, it's like you've really blown up. You're like in the Lad Bible, Indy 100. You're on Know Your Meme as this meme now. You're on Mashed. You're on New York Post. What was the other one here? The Mirror UK. You were like this. I think is your biggest claim to fame so far. I mean, you're pretty famous, but relatively unknown because that's the kind of the nature of memes. But now it's like you are the meme. You've become the meme finally. As much as I thought you were the meme before, you're the meme now, and it's radical too. I'm a big fan of the content. I haven't taken the leap to raw meat eating, but I'm definitely interested, obviously, in hearing your journey, and just happy to have you back. And we went floating, by the way. The people that are interested in the float content, I've sent him out to a few floats when he was on that journey. He came and floated with me. We did psychedelics. We did that video. You'll see the Prius kombucha. That was the first time I ever had a kombucha. Now I know why I was, waiting for that time in the moment and space and time to share that with you. But we just floated recently at Tampa Floats, and it was great. And hopefully we'll go do it again here soon at the other facility, because you're going to be a part of my show now. I kind of tried to return the favor to you, which was I'm going around as much as I can to local float centers and hooking up with content creators and good friends of mine that can enjoy the float, or in your case, multiple times you've enjoyed it. You're a float fan. So I'm running my mouth here. People want me to shut up. Tell me, how did this raw meat? Why did this happen? Why raw meat? What started this?
Cool, cool. All right. Let's so between us being friends and talking online, honestly, I want to say it's been like 8 years now,
Mm-hmm.
because New Woke Order, the first Instagram page that you found, was 2015.
Right.
Maybe
Okay.
maybe 2016. So 7 or 8 years.
That makes
But
sense because 2014 is when I started the page.
yeah, so I went hard in meme world for many years, but I don't know. I just, like many people, I just kind of got tired of it. It's like there's a lot of the same jokes over and over, and I mean, I still am quite involved behind the scenes in the meme world, but I just kind of lost doing that. So when I disappeared for a few years, that was just because like I didn't feel like doing it. Like Cabbage Cat memes, I just had a friend running it for like 4 years. Like I just have no interest in it really. But then I just got like really into nutrition, like reading books about it and finding out all these different weird diets around the world and like the history of stuff like that. So then like when I got really into that, reading and listening to podcasts every day about it, I was like, you know what? I want to make like a meme page about this, because I want just to like talk to other people that are into that, and like talk to the people who are doing the podcasts and everything like that. So I just wanted to get involved in that community. So I made the meat based news page, and through that, like made a bunch of friends for months. Got it to like 10K. So like 10K in the nutrition world was like decent, and yeah, just making friends in that, talking about a bunch of shit. It was like a meat heavy, like I don't know if you know like Paul Saladino and like Sean Baker and all those dudes I was following.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not I never went like carnivore. Like I'm not like only eat this is the best way to do it. Yeah, but through that stuff, like lots of people talking about raw milk, like the difference between raw and pasteurized milk, and like why is it so hard to find? Why can you get like arrested for it? Like
You can get arrested for raw milk. Why is that?
yeah, in many states and countries, you can get arrested for not cooking the milk first, because they
Mm.
say a few dozen people got sick, but the conspiracy people say it's because it's the healthiest food you can get and they don't want anybody to have it.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I guess I would say I'm more on that end of things. So yeah, the raw, but then like just like if you go into, even if you Google like should you cook breast milk, or like can you heat up breast milk for babies, they'll say no, and they'll give you all these scientific articles on like all of these nutrients will be missing after. But if you look it up for milk, they'll say there's no difference for cow's milk.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they'll admit that heating it is bad, or like heating it ruins the nutrition of it for breast milk, but if you look it up for the other ones, they're like, nope, it's exactly the same. And the same for meat. They'll be like, cooking meat actually improves the nutrition content, but like, I don't know, there's a million examples of that not being true at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just getting into like the raw milk, raw eggs, like eating like liver and a bunch of stuff like that. It was like, there was a few people doing it on YouTube and stuff, but it was before Liver King existed. Like he kind of busted out like after I was doing it for like a month or two, and then everybody for the rest of the time was like, "Oh, you just want to be like Liver King."
Right.
I was like, I don't like, I respect him. He like DMs me once in a while, but like I have nothing to do with him, and I don't want
Yeah.
to be like that at all. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I didn't take the idea from him. Like people have been doing this for all of history. Like every country has raw meat dishes. Sushi is raw meat. All dairy, like 100 years ago, plus for like 10,000 years of dairy, all dairy was raw until they started cooking it 100 years ago. Like,
So you
yeah,
think
I don't know.
maybe you think maybe mass production is the cause of like, pasteurization and like mass production of farms, instead of like, your local, you have your little homestead or your little farm, and you're getting it that way. As we get, as we've grown bigger as society,
You
obviously
mean
the
like,
means of production have changed to produce milk. And like
mhm,
I haven't gone the raw yet. I did interview a guy that drinks his own piss. I didn't drink my own piss yet, but
mhm,
the raw milk stuff I'm interested in, and all this, it's just difficult to get. You can't just go down to the Publix and get it. That's I think most people's biggest issue with it, besides the fact that I think a lot of people are worried about like foodborne pathogens, and like, yeah, not cooking it, you get some disease or some kind of
mhm.
worm living in you. What's interesting to me was, though, with your journey, I found it so extreme. I knew you prior to this journey, and you were, I think, a vegan at one point, and like pretty, like you've been. One thing I know about you is when you get on something, you do follow it down. That's what I'm really impressed with you always, is somebody will give you an idea. Like somebody will give me an idea, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do that, maybe I won't. But you tend to go all the way, and usually to an extreme. So that's why I think people are finding your content so interesting. Is you're honest and it's like extreme. Because for me, like
Yeah.
you're eating like slabs of meat, and like I saw you before you went on the Dr. Phil show. You're slonking raw eggs in the Paramount Studios parking lot in front of the big gate. I thought that was a pretty cool shot. When did you like? Why did you go? You were vegan, right?
Well, I followed all vegans for like nutrition and health advice for just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know how long, but like the end of high school on. Like I just thought plant-based was the way to go.
Yeah.
Like I did a couple like months and stuff like that of pure vegan, but I was just the whole time under the impression that meat's bad for you. You don't need it. And like, I was living off like kale shakes, and I think like listening to like the beginning of Joe Rogan podcast, he got me onto like the kale shakes and like just blending up a bunch of fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and powders and like pills. And I always kind of felt like shit too, and I was like, there's just got to be some sort of pill or magic bean or something that I'm missing. So like I'm always just adding new powders and shit. I'm up to like the smoothie is just like 90 powders. Like I'm like, oh, it's spirulina that I need, and like,
Right.
but like none of that shit ever really helped. It's like I just like got to the point where like I think the shit is extremely simple. Like to be an animal on the earth in perfect health, all you need is like the raw foods that historically have shown to be good for you. And like all humans have always ate meat, and all animals eat raw. So
Right.
like you don't need I am under the impression that like all supplements, all powders, all just anything that's not like that doesn't exist 200 years ago on the ground and shit is just unnecessary and probably making it worse.
I agree. And one of the things I don't try to judge anything. I try to like experiment and investigate and really give it the full thing. And I've been trying for like since I started this spiritual journey of being more conscious about life and what I'm doing to my body, to uncover or to discover the real diet. What is really the best diet? And because I think people are different. There's spectrums of what people can eat in different regions of the world and stuff. But I basically am kind of the same belief, which is, it's very simple. Go back 500 years where you raised your own cattle and you grew your own food, and that's it. Veganism is not
Mhm.
possible, and veganism never existed until modern society because of the ability to supplement, because you need essential things that animals are picking up off the ground, and you're not getting like what is it, B12, for example, that vegans are notoriously lacking
Yeah,
because they're not eating meat, then that the cows are eating that off the ground, and you eat the meat, you get that by default. So that's
yeah,
always been my argument, is it's just not, like, we got to this point by eating meat, and now we're supposed to drop it, like, I don't get that. So
yeah,
but again, I empathize, and people, spiritual people, I'm sure you've gotten your into this. I mean, I see the comments, but extreme, like, for me, it's not only about, like, what kind of hormones are in the cow, or how they've been
mhm.
treated, the stress hormones. But yeah, like, it's that spiritual aspect of, like, you're killing an animal. And I do think that, yeah, you shouldn't, like, factory farming is inhumane. The way we're doing it now is very wrong and inhumane, and it's very unhealthy. And just the fact that they're boldly stating now that they're going to put the mRNA vaccine in the beef and in the chicken, all these things. It's like, well, part of me is like, well, they've probably been doing these things in, forever. We just haven't known about it. But is the mRNA vaccine? I shouldn't be saying these words, but is it does it get cooked out of the meat, stuff like that? We think like that. So now the fact that it's a full-on assault, apparently, I mean, maybe it's not true, but it seems to be the case. There's a full-on assault on every type of food, your vegetables, your fruits, even your meat, that you're going to try to sneak this vaccine in one way or the other. And it's really forcing people like me to reconsider and reach out, not maybe not do the raw meat, but to say, I need to find a local farmer, or I need to start doing it myself. And for me, I'm like, I need to move out of here and get a homestead going. So I have chickens and cows and goat, and I can make my own stuff, and then find a couple neighbors, and you're good to go. So it's
Yeah. I
like
think
that. Go ahead.
that's definitely the way to go, I would say. I think like 90% of the battle is like the processed, newly invented foods. That's all just like incredibly toxic. And I think it's on purpose too. Like, I don't think it's just like these companies are trying to make money. It's like the people that own all of those companies print out money for free. So there's not any reason for them to be trying to get rich off Fruit Loops. It's like
Right.
you have a money printer at the top. Like there's other reasons for it, but
Well, that's
ninety
another.
percent,
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
I'd say like 90% of it is the processed foods. Like I know, like I've talked to literally thousands of people across the world with different diets. Like I talked to some dudes in African tribes that have like one iPhone that like, they've been like drinking blood and drinking raw milk, and they live off like the Maasai people and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I talked to dudes in that tribe on the raw meat page, and just like the people that it's attracted have been like I've learned more just from showing what I was doing and talking to people about it than like I ever could have reading hundreds of books. But yeah, so I think like the raw versus cooked thing, like there's something to it, but if you just eat if you just ate like cooked meat and vegetables that was like decent from a decent source, you'd be fine forever.
Let me ask you this: do you think we're trained, like, over time, to like the smell of cooked meat? Like, because my biggest, obviously, there's a few. For me personally, it's like, okay, there's the potentiality of, like, where did this meat come from? What's in it? And then it's like, is it true that if I don't cook it, like chicken, everybody thinks if you eat undercooked chicken, you're getting salmonella. Do you eat raw chicken?
Yeah, and like people send me pictures from like restaurants in Japan that have raw chicken on the menu, like
Yeah.
raw chicken sashimi. So it's like if people are getting sick, it's from something that's being done to the chickens, not just chicken in general, because there's people that have always eaten raw chicken.
Right. That's the big concern, is that with, I think, a lot of people, is just the fact that, like, with pork, you're told to avoid, more biblically avoid pork, because worms, right? That's the thing. You
Hmm.
eat raw pork, you're supposed to be taking dewormers every couple weeks or months. If
Yeah,
have you experienced? Do you eat raw pork?
yeah. And in Germany, like it's called like Metbrock or something. They eat raw pork all the time. They like shape it into animals and bring it to work parties and shit. they have raw pork. It's like a kind of normal thing over there. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think it's like a food quality thing, but also in the raw meat community, like one of the main raw meat dudes was named Agenus Vonderplanets. He has all these like crazy stories. You probably like him. He has this crazy story of like he was a vegan dying from cancer, riding his bike across the country, and like he just went to the top of like a mountain to starve to death, and some coyotes brought him a dead bunny because they saw him starving to death, and he like ended up eating the bunny raw, and then he did like 3 decades of like teaching
That's an
to
incredible
eat
story if that's
raw
true.
meat. Yeah, if it's true, but
Sounds like bullshit, but you
like,
never know.
sounds like bullshit. Yeah, but he did like at least 3 decades of like teaching raw meat shit, and like he made a few books. He made raw milk legal to sell in grocery stores in California. So like he's the reason that
Yeah.
exists. So he did a lot of shit, and he has a lot of cool stories. And if anything, it just proves that he ate raw meat for like 30 years and was
Well,
fine.
that's
So like,
yeah. He don't need a story. He proves it by his just like you by just straight up action and results.
yeah.
Uh,
So the reason I made my page, first of all, I didn't think anyone would fucking care. Like I didn't tell any meme people. Like I was kind of
yeah,
just
you
like,
totally did, man. Total surprise, total surprise.
yeah, like I have dozens of meme people I could have told and blown up the page, you know, but I was like, this is just like has nothing to do with meme people. Like I never told anybody on Raw Meat Experiment that I made like pages with millions of followers and shit like that. Like they thought like I just came out of nowhere. That's all I
Yeah,
did. So
a
I
lot of
wanted
my
to just keep it separate. And it was basically like if I don't document this, it was like I was already really interested. I know like people do it, you can do it. I still like had the fear, like they build up that fear in you. So like I was like, maybe I'll get sick, but I want to try. So I was like, I'm just going to record it every day. And if you don't, I mean, I recorded it every day, eating like dozens of different things from all over the place, like ostrich eggs and random shit. And like people still don't believe it. They'll be like, this is fake. This is edited. You throw up right after. You're in the hospital every time you're not posting. So it's like there's people that just can't believe it for whatever reason. Like they just like, it's impossible for them to believe that you can eat meat without cooking it, even though like you can get steak tartare at restaurants in every
yeah.
city. So
Sushi is
it's
a
like,
perfect example too.
yeah, so it's like these things exist everywhere, but you just like have been told so many times that you can't believe it. It's like some mind control trick, I think.
Yeah. Well, no,
But
definitely.
even
Yeah,
but
there's
the
a big
200 days in a row, just like I was like, we're brainwashed every day by everything by just showing us the same thing every day, like telling you the same thing every day on the news, and like eventually it's true because why not? So I was like, if I just show people this every day, like just a silent video of me just eating raw meat in your feed every day for hundreds of days, like eventually people are like, now it's like comments, like I don't even really post anymore on there, but I get tagged in comments like every day that's like, check Raw Meat Experiment, he's done this, check Raw Meat
yeah.
Experiment. So it's like I'm like the proof to like tens of thousands of regular people that like mainly the DMs that I got. Like I've had thousands of people send me videos of eating like raw meat or raw eggs, but most of the DMs are just like, well, I'm not scared of like rare burgers anymore. So at least you change that for me.
Right. Yeah, your burger tastes better. You know, it's funny
Yeah.
is people will I've been posting content about you every once in a while, especially now that we've you decided to hang out the past few days and do the podcast. And like, oh my God, I can't believe this is the collab I've always waiting for. I'm like, bro, I've known this guy for like 7, 8 years. We already got it. We already like I was listening to your podcast with Mark Bells. He's like, oh,
Oh yeah.
we got the first podcast with this guy. I'm like, bullshit, bro. I have the first podcast with the guy. It's so you go back, I
Yeah,
go
you
back in
definitely
time.
do.
So
Yeah.
I'm an OG, truly enjoyer, and yeah, I've enjoyed all the Prius driving through the country, and now the memes. Those guys didn't even know you were a meme guy until you like talked about it in the interview. I'm like, yeah, man,
Yeah. Because I
I'm
guess Tank Sinatra told him.
yeah,
Tank Sinatra randomly saw me, and he's in like the meathead community. So he was like, "You got to get this guy on. Like, he not only does this, but he also made a bunch of pages." So
I'd say
I
you're the
didn't.
most famous memer at this point. I mean, I don't know any other memers that have been on Dr. Phil.
Yeah, Tank
I mean,
Sinatra definitely.
I'm sure. Yeah, there's a few like the fat Jewish or whatever that guy was, but
Yeah,
I
I
I
only did
I,
the.
I dial out all
I,
that stuff. I want the real
I
ones and
wasn't even gonna do the Dr. Phil. Like, I say no to like every podcast now. I'm just like, Like obviously I'll do this with you, but
How many have you done? I
I
was
don't
looking.
know. It's just like
I found like at least 4 you did about the raw meat. How many have you done?
there's probably like, yeah, like 5 to 8 random ones.
Yeah.
But I don't know. People ask me every day, and it's like, I don't know you at all. And like I just have to set aside 2 hours of my day to like for you to promote something, you know, like they're just using my name to like get more views and sell whatever they're selling.
Well, but the thing
So
is,
it's like I'm not selling shit,
I was gonna
you
say, like,
know?
you don't have any merch or anything. You're just as like just a totally free, no Patreon, no merch. This is just a totally free experiment to the world.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's
appreciate it
free.
then, man, because
And like also it's like I don't know, like all the ad things that came in were like sell these pills or sell this supplement or this
Mhm,
powder. And it's all shit that I keep telling people you don't need.
for sure. Well, we don't
Like
promote any of that
everything.
here.
Yeah. And like my page, it was like, it's also like no drugs, which is like,
Well,
I tell people to do whatever they want, you know? I'm like, if that's helping you or if you have fun, like I did a billion drugs a billion times, you know? Like,
yeah, you're a big
I,
weed smoker. Why'd you quit smoking weed?
um, honestly, it was like at during this where like I was like buying like stacks of books that I wanted to read about like the nutrition shit. Like I was really excited to like learn new topics. And like I would just smoke and like couldn't read. Like I couldn't like understand it. Or like I would just like not continue. Like I would just end up watching
Right.
like some fucking reality TV show or something. So it was based I just was like and it made me like I was living on Venice Beach, like skateboarding on the beach and shit. And like, I was like, this really makes me happy being outside. But
Hmm.
like, it was the weed was kind of just making me like nervous to like leave the apartment. So I don't know. It was just like, I was just kind of sitting there smoking all day. Like I had a pound. I
Oh
had a
man.
pound of extremely good weed because some guy with a huge weed meme page in LA gave it to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
So like,
you're jazz cabbage for people that don't know. You have a lot of meme pages. I think you sold a bunch of them, like Doggo's doing
yeah,
things, and
I've made over 100 Instagrams.
yeah, you've got. I think collectively we got like what 3 or 4 million followers.
Yeah, probably. I technically made Animals Doing Things too, which has like 5 million followers.
Oh wow, it's really shot up, man. Okay, yeah, you had a book and everything. It was quite a meme journey for you, and
Yeah.
I feel like a
I
lot
just,
of people have lost the push for. I mean, I think every meme has been done in the world except for obviously
yeah,
current things that keep changing. But you've
yeah,
done. You're the master of like 10,000 memes. You've done probably millions of memes at this point. But I'm with you. And I was talking to like Joelle. She's tired of it too. She's getting it's finding new ways to be motivated to get on that Instagram or
yeah,
Facebook and put those images and words to the screen. It's
yeah.
a chore.
Like it was fun with the raw meat shit because it was like a new topic and like making raw meat memes is just so fucking funny and ridiculous to me. Because
Yeah,
like
you
there's
got some good
like
ones.
people think it's funny even if they're not interested whatsoever, you know? So then like I got people who are actually interested, everybody who actually eats raw meat I got, and like people interested in nutrition, like vegans and vegetarians were fans, just like in shock, you know, to see what happens to me. And then just like people that just like memes and thought I was doing it completely as a joke.
Yeah,
Like a
there's
lot of the people a lot of the people I work with, they're like, "Oh yeah, you just do that as a joke." And I'm like, okay, like I don't care what they think about it, you know.
how much are you? Well, I've got a lot of things to ask here. One of the ones I wanted to know was like, what what are the best tasting raw meats and what are the worst tasting raw meats?
Okay, so the worst, I think it's just like organs take a while to get used to,
Mm,
but they all have like the most nutritional content. And like, if you ever watch like, I don't know, like the best food review or like, there's all these YouTube channels or like, you know, Anthony Bourdain and all that shit. In every other country, like they all eat organs all the time. Like it's normal
hmm.
everywhere, pretty much, except for here. Here, like liver and onions, like old people will tell you they grew up on liver and onions, but it's just like we're not used to it. But also, it's like just like insanely unnatural for an animal to only eat muscle meat.
Hmm.
Like every animal eats like whatever the fuck, you know, like the whole body or whatever. So, but that stuff, I don't know. If you don't if you're not used to it, like it just like it's a lot mentally weird. But like if you just eat like a brain, like it kind of tastes like it's like the texture of like scrambled eggs, and like it
Was
honestly
it
kind of tastes like eggs.
okay? What is a good beginner's raw meat?
Steak, like lean steak is really easy.
Like what cut?
Like a top sirloin
Okay, so
or like a fillet, but like I
so
never had fillet money.
so oh really? So no, so cooked steak and uncooked steak are basically the same. You want the best cut of meat you can, you get the sirloin or you want the best you can get.
Yeah, well, I think just
Is there any like secret part of the like is there any kind of like inversion where it's like tastes good as a cooked meat, but then maybe you find it doesn't taste good or it tastes better as an uncooked meat? Have you
well,
had
I
go ahead.
think steak I think steak tastes better cooked, but
Oh,
like I feel better after if it's raw. So
interesting.
it's like the trade-off of like it tastes better for 10 minutes or like I feel better for the next 24 hours. So like I do both.
Yeah.
I'm like sometimes I'm like, you know what, I want something that tastes good, and sometimes I'm like, I don't really give a shit. I'm just gonna eat this raw ground beef and then I'll be good for the day. So so yeah, I do both. For taste, raw raw milk, I drink all day, every day. I think that tastes really good. It's like the one food I don't get sick of at all. It has like basically every nutrient you could ever need. Like I think you could live off of it. And some people say there's been people who did. Raw cheese, like raw dairy, is all
Oh,
good
no,
as
wait,
fuck.
hold on. Now, when you say raw cheese, what's the difference between the cheese I'm getting at the grocery store versus a raw cheese? Because isn't it just like mold and curded milk and all that? Like, what's the difference between raw milk or raw cheese and grocery store cheese?
Well, it depends if they pasteurized the milk before they
Oh,
made the
okay,
cheese. So like
gotcha. That's
destroying half of the nutrient content of
that,
it
that's the
before
difference.
making the cheese.
Okay,
So there's a little bit of a difference. I mean, you still have to heat it up a little bit, but I forget they heat it up to like 102 degrees, which is like the same internal temperature of a cow when the milk comes out anyway.
okay.
So they have like the Amish do it real good like that. I was getting a lot of food from the Amish in Pennsylvania. They have some of the best farms, the best raw milk. They deliver it all over the country. They
Wait,
just like,
what's the name of the company?
well, just the Amish farms in general. There's like
Okay.
there's a handful of different companies you can find, but
Are there? I know you live in Florida with me now. Are there any?
mhm.
Do you? Okay, so where do you get? Is there an Amish delivery service in the Tampa St. Pete area?
There it seems like there was, but I think it died out. In LA, it was big,
Where
but
are you
you
getting your
can
raw milk
still.
from? Where are you getting your raw milk and cheese from these days?
There's a bunch of um, so if you go to realmilk.com,
Okay.
you can type in your location and it
Hell
shows you
yeah.
like hundreds of farms and farm stands and like
Oh,
random like
yes.
there's random restaurants and like side of the road fruit stands and shit. That's where all the raw milk is here. In Florida, it's illegal to sell raw milk to humans.
Mm-hmm.
So it says not for human consumption, for pets only on all of the milk here.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna look
So
into that because
in my opinion, it is probably the number one healthiest food you could get.
I hear it's really hydrating too. Do you experience? I read this thing. It was like there's like milk is the most like your like raw milk, and then
Mhm.
Pedialyte, and then different types of water. But water actually is not the most hydrating thing apparently you can drink. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
do agree with that. I go weeks without drinking water at all.
that's another thing I want to talk about. And I know I saw like in some of these articles and I hadn't really gone down your rabbit hole of water, but I know that I'm obviously shouldn't be drinking this. This is full of, like I said, we talked about it. This is full of salt
Yeah.
and chemicals that want to make you just more thirsty than when you drank it. I know you're supposed to put it in copper. You're supposed to drink out of copper. I mean, at least that's what I believe. What's your take on
Yeah.
water? How do you do water?
So basically, I'm like with all of this health stuff, it's like I like to learn it and like implement some of it, but like I'm never trying to be perfect. Like I don't even care if I live till like 120. Like I just want to feel like pretty good to like almost the best that I can all the time. So like, I'll drink bottled water when I'm out. Like I don't really give a shit. Like the plastic bottles and whatever. Like, yeah,
Well, yeah.
I'm sure there's some hormones in there that are fucking me up, but I'm not trying to be perfect. But actually I got a water filter off Amazon. It's like a reverse osmosis one.
I was gonna say like Kangen
And
or like I know a guy that runs water over rocks, right? He has a rock,
yeah,
he has like a rock bed and he runs the water over it, and it like charges it apparently over sunlight, and that's how he drinks his
Yeah.
water. So I wanted to know, like, yeah,
I think some of them are scams. I think
well, yeah,
I think the high pH water is a scam.
I think that is too.
I don't think you can change the pH of your body. If you could
But
change the pH of your body by what you're eating, then everyone would die. Like, you know, like you can't change like the acidity of your stomach. Like every animal has a set. Ours is really low. It's like scavenger low. Like I forget what it is, like a 2 pH. It's like the same as like a turkey vulture.
mhm.
So like you can put some crazy shit into a human's body. Like we're like kind of scavengers.
Dude, it's amazing what we can survive on. Like I see crackheads just live forever on you
I
know,
know.
breadcrumbs and crack rocks, and like, how is this
Yeah.
happening?
They're just eating like processed food out of the trash and like
Yeah,
they go for decades.
processed food. That's my other bone to pick with veganism is, oh, I'm vegan, I'm not hurting any animals. You're eating all kinds of trash food, and the companies are called Satan and Morningstar. It's like it's
Yeah.
totally inverted, and
Yeah.
they it's you're just eating sugar and processed foods basically all day
Well,
long.
the vegan thing, it's like I don't know. I think we've slowly been trained into it with like Disney movies and like talking
Yeah.
animal movies, and
Oh yeah,
it's
Bambi.
just been it's been slowly like don't like, oh, this is an animal, this is a, but it's like humans have always grown up like as a like 1,000 years ago, like there was no such thing as having a childhood. You were just like a small adult helping kill chickens and shit, you know, like you weren't like
Exactly.
playing
Yeah.
with toys. You were just like killing an animal and eating it. Like there's no morality involved when it comes to eating the food that you have to eat. Like no other animal gives a shit. You know, like we can do it a little better because we have brains or
Yeah.
whatever, but
Well,
like
dude,
an animal in the wild isn't gonna give a shit. They'll bite your fucking dick off while you're alive and watch you suffer, you know, like
and yeah, eat you from the asshole. Start with your asshole and eat you from there on out. You know, it's
yeah,
that's where they
that's what they
started.
do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's been for me, I've talked about how I've really kind of struggled to find out what the truth of diet. And again, everybody has their own, like, I don't know if you believe in the whole blood thing. Everybody's got different blood type. You got to eat for your blood type. Well,
Yeah, I
maybe
don't.
yeah. And so for me, it's like there's so many people that follow me that try to convince me to do a lot of things, but one of the things they try to
Mhm.
convince me to do is to be vegan. And I will say vegan can be good, I think, maybe as a cleanse, short term, maybe a week or two. But after that, once you get all that detoxing done, you go back to, yeah, then you get on the raw meat. And for me, I'm making that graduation. I started with A2 milk. Just that
Mhm.
big, just that alone made a huge difference.
Yeah,
And so I'm assuming you're drinking A2 raw milk, or do you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Usually, just the farms that are into having grass-fed raw milk, just they're kind of mostly A2 because they care about that stuff.
Right. So let me read
And
some of
what
these
when it comes to vegan, like yeah, it didn't come from the bottom up. Like this is like a top-down thing,
for sure.
a
And
top-down cultural shift, and like you know, any top-down cultural shift is usually against your own will. Um, but also like it's really smart the way that they do it. Like they're kind of just taking advantage of people with like good hearts, you know? It's like
that's my problem with all the social
they're
liberalism.
manipulating
Yeah, it's
manipulating people into like slowly starving themselves.
yeah. Well, that's what they're
And
doing
I
with.
think you can live, yeah, like you said, like crackheads living off bread out of the trash and shit. It's like you have enough stored up nutrition in your body for like 20 years, you know? So it's like you can be a healthy vegan for a while, but you're using the nutrients inside of you. So you're eating like animal nutrients that are stored inside of you. So you're still basically cannibalizing yourself, you know,
Mhm.
you're still eating an animal in a way. And eventually you're gonna run out. Like I say it's like nutrition, it's like there's like gas and then like oil, you know, and it's like gas, like you can use whatever for fuel for the day, you know, you can eat 30 bananas and be good for the day, but like you're not, eventually you need to like change your oil and get like an oil change, which is
Mhm.
like the nutrients that are stored in your body. So it's like maybe you can eat bananas for a week, but then like you need to eat a steak or something and like fill some of that shit back up.
So, do you eat with, like, I forget the term, like whatever your body's craving, you just kind of follow that. You don't have like a set thing. It seems like you don't really have
Yeah,
like a set itinerary of food. It's like whatever I feel today,
it
or
changes.
it's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna be adventurous for the sake of the thing. So, how many days
Mhm.
straight did you go?
I did raw meat for 200 days straight on video, and like having something raw every day, I'd say still I do it every day because
Yeah.
I probably drink like a thousand calories of raw milk every day, even if I eat cooked food.
Now,
But
how much do you spend on a week in raw milk?
um
How much is a gallon of raw
probably like,
milk?
it's like $10 to $14 in
Okay, that's not too bad.
Florida.
What do you drink? Like 3 gallons a week?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So you're spending
yeah,
like
that's like
50, 60, $70, depending on where you get it.
yeah, but that's like raw milk's actually not that bad of a deal. Like ground beef and raw milk are like the two like best deals for animal foods, I think, for healthy ones. Because like fish, it's like you might be spending $20 for a pound of wild fish and it's like 400 calories because
Well,
there's no fat in it.
yeah. And
So it's
fish
like
is
to live
also,
off fish would be like $1,000 a week. So like I eat fish once in a while, but it's kind of
we,
really expensive.
well, you live on the coast too. I mean, people that don't live on the coast, they always say like, don't order food in like a seafood restaurant if you're like an hour away from the ocean.
Yeah,
You know, I've heard that before. I'm not a
yeah.
seafood person personally because
And even
ocean,
here, I feel like it should be cheap. Like every
yeah,
neighbor I talk to is like, I'm a grouper fisherman, and then
yeah.
you go to the store and groupers like $30 a pound. It's like,
Well,
why the fuck? Why is it so expensive?
I'm surprised that I mean, maybe it's in your future that you're going to be a fisherman or a farmer. You know, like you just need to
I'm thinking, yeah,
start sourcing it yourself. You know,
yeah.
um, dude, there's so much. I want to talk about some of these articles. So that this is I've been following the meme world for a long time, and this you've been easily one of the most talked about in terms of press and videos and podcasts, especially too. You're out there at your face. You're not hidden behind a meme account. This is the New York Post. I've been eating raw meat for 166 days, and I won't stop until I die. It's got a picture of you here with two mason jars with like, I don't know, 6 or 7 raw eggs in each one of them. And then you've got some kind of like, it looks like a steak or a lamb chop, some giant piece of meat in your mouth. It says he's really a meathead. An Instagrammer who simply goes by his first name of John is on a mission to eat only raw meat every day. But he's worried his followers who claim he is on the verge of insanity after almost 6 months of consuming nothing but uncooked animal products. So let me ask you this. You obviously haven't gone insane. Was there any point that you did get sick, that you ate something and it's like, you know what, the toilet, or you were sick for a few days, or you like salmonella? You never did any of that happen?
No, I never got sick whatsoever. And all the news articles, nobody ever asked me anything at all.
Right. Well,
So
that's the thing. Yeah.
they just came out with all these things without asking anything at all. So it's like, and I embraced the meme of it, you know, like I
Mhm.
was kind of making fun of myself, doing it as like it was real, but it was also as a joke. Because if I did it just as like I actually think this is healthy, then like people get mad at you. But if you're like, I'm doing this just to see what happens and it's funny, then nobody gets mad at you.
Yeah, yeah. I've kind of learned that too with my
Well, people
journey.
still get mad a
They,
little
they
bit,
do.
but
Well, you do well, you trigger deep seated beliefs, and the thing is, and I've learned this with spirituality or psychedelics, deep seated beliefs. When you bring an opposition to them, especially, and it's like something that is really potentially really true, it really kicks up those deep seated. It's their ego. Like, I
Mhm.
have a lot invested in this belief, and how dare you say that
Yeah.
I'm doing it wrong? That's what I've come across. Now you've got some quotes here in some of these articles, and I'm like, wow, this is actually giving me goosebumps because I've been on this anti-sugar kick for a while, and a lot of sugar is it's very insidious. Like, you don't even realize, like, salty products. You look on the back of the
Mhm.
package, and it's like sugar, 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 but it doesn't taste sweet. And
Mhm.
you stop eating processed sugar, and you have like a Twinkie or something. It's almost unbearable. And so one of the things I think is interesting about raw meat is the escape of carbs, right? You don't eat, are you not eating? I guess you weren't eating as much bread when you were doing just full on meat. And so I know with sugar and carbs, it's inflammation and carb crash. That's one thing. As I get
Mhm.
older, I can't eat anything at a certain time of the day if I want to maintain that, that punch,
Yeah.
and not get sleepy. So, um, are you eating bread again? Like, did you just,
A little bit. I eat like sourdough bread, but it
yeah,
doesn't make me feel that good. It just tastes
right.
really good. Um, Grains in general, I just think grains is like a slave food. Like it was invented to feed slaves,
Mhm.
like some of them taste good. And then like, I'm not going to stop eating it forever. It's like a lot of shit is grains, but I don't think it's a food for humans. It's like seasonal seeds of grass plants in different parts of the world that have to be put through all these different processes and machines. Like there's no way an animal on earth would be able to like invent grains without like thousands of years of technology and shit.
Right.
So it's just not meant for us, like you can survive off it, like, but it's a survival food. It's not it's not what you're supposed to have. And
Right.
I get inflammation. I read a book called like No Grain, No Pain. And it's just this doctor that's been like fixing like tens of thousands of people's pain issues by just taking grains out of their
Yeah.
diet for a
Stop
month,
eating grains. Yeah. Stop eating sugar. It's so,
like it just inflames the shit out of you. Like if I have like, sometimes I'll be like, I want a bagel, like I love bagels and I'll eat it and I'll be fine. And then like I'll eat a bagel for like 4 days and then like I wake up with like that like neck thing where like you can't turn around all the way.
yeah. I
And
need to stop eating all this
I'm
bread.
like, fuck, I went too hard. And like it takes quitting shit for periods of time to figure it out.
Well, that's the thing. I say it's the forest through the trees. You can't see the forest through the trees. It's like me and weed or an alcoholic that can drink a fifth of vodka every day, and if I
Mhm.
drank that, I'd die. It's alcohol
Yeah.
poisoning. But your body's so used to sugar and grain that like when you stop for and you break the addiction, you pull back and you have a little taste. It's like, whoa, I didn't realize how deep. I like this is unbelievable how much
Yeah.
sugar I'm eating and how much is that.
The
Like I said,
main,
it's insidious. It's in things you don't even realize unless you look at the packaging that it's in.
yeah. And it's like people just think all of this stuff is normal now, like all of these problems that we have. But like like the memes, like I'm 30 and my back hurts already. It's like that's not supposed to happen.
Nah,
That's
yeah.
And I literally think it's like 90% just like what you're putting in your mouth.
Oh, 100%. And then the other 10% is probably like vaccines and pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some stuff that's harder to figure out too.
Yeah, shouldn't even
But
talk shouldn't
the
talk about
main
that, but yeah.
the main thing that got me like really, really seeing this shit was like just studying like all the African tribes that exist. Like people always say like this is what people did a million years ago, or like we've been using fire for 420,000 years. People will say that. It's like you don't fucking know anything. Everything is currently being lied about. You don't think they could have made that shit up about 500,000 years ago?
Hmm.
So it's like I'm going off what I can see now. And what I can see now, I'm friends with this woman. She goes around studying like healthy cultures that currently are alive. So it's like she'll go stay with some tribe in different countries and like for a couple months and see what they eat and study it. And like these people, like they give birth without pain. The babies don't cry. They don't know what depression is. Like they've never had somebody that was depressed. They don't like they bring American doctors there and like they can't find any evidence of diabetes or cancer or any of these things. And it's like we're told that all of these issues are normal, but it's like we're just being gaslit. It's like we're being poisoned by the food and then told that like everything is genetic that you're dying from. But
Yeah.
it's like, how can it be genetic if like they say obesity is genetic, but like 100 years ago, like nobody was
Nobody was
obese.
fat. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, okay, why is it genetic then?
Well, I
But
mean,
if like the natural state of human is perfect health, like that's how it's supposed to be, and there's evidence of it existing all over the world still, and these people are eating high amounts of meat and raw dairy, not so much raw meat, but there's a culture in like northern Russia that's been eating nothing but raw fish and raw reindeer for hundreds of years, and they were in perfect health too. So they lived off nothing but raw meat, and like they would find berries like for like 2 weeks a year.
nice. Well, that's the thing. The truth of the meat is the cow or whatever you're eating is getting all the nutrients organized
Mhm.
for you, and it's a simple
Yeah.
little package. But yeah, and it is. You go down the rabbit hole of food and conspiracy stuff, and like pharmaceuticals. It's a cycle they want to put you in to get you sick, and then
Mhm.
provide the solution and get you sick again and kill you. Oh, they ultimately want to kill you off too. That's another
Yeah. I
part
mean,
of
it,
it.
it it keeps you just like weak and stupid.
I agree.
So like
Yeah.
it's easy to control hundreds of millions of people if everyone's weak and stupid.
I wanted to continue. There's a quote here. And in this article in the New York Post, it goes on to say, you quote, meat is the only food that nobody has bad reactions to, except for those Lone Star ticks invented by Big Vegetable. Now, what's a Lone Star tick? Or is that just a
Uh,
joke?
um, that was like I think something serious that I was pretending was a joke,
Oh, okay.
but it's those ticks that make you allergic to meat. So like
Oh,
they have them in like Texas a bit, and I've talked to people that it actually happened to, so it is real. but also I've read books from like the 1930s about how they were testing putting diseases into ticks and dropping them out of planes and to other countries to like fuck up all their livestock and shit. So I think it was an experiment to see if you could make people allergic to meat, which is their natural diet.
Right.
But I mean, if that happened to me, you can still eat fish and shit. I'd figure it out and I'd be fine. But yeah, it is pretty fucked up. Like you just like have an immediate reaction to meat and like it's never existed before until like 20 years ago.
Interesting. And they pinned it on this tick.
Yeah, it's from a tick bite that makes you
Interesting.
allergic.
I
allergic
totally
to
believe
beef.
it. Yeah, I totally believe in engineered bugs and stuff like that, because I live in, you live in Florida now too, and I'm
Mhm.
sure you finally experienced the dreaded love bugs, an experiment by the University of Florida that has gone awry, and now every love bug season your car is completely and utterly covered in these little black and orange. You know what I'm talking about.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
No.
you will. You haven't lived here long enough. Then you will experience love bug season, and then again, that's another experiment by the University of
Mhm.
Florida. Go Gators! Now, one of the funniest things about your account, and all just me being online, I get all my entertainment from the comments. Yeah, the initial post usually is really good, but it's
Yeah.
usually the reaction to the content. And in this article, it's like the post drew many comments from fans who were concerned about his well-being. Drink more water, bro, one user wrote. Look at this page and tell me if he's crazy, lost his mind, or on the verge of insanity. Several other users thought John was doing the stunt for attention. I showed you to my mom and her boyfriend, and their boomer brains just about exploded, one commented. The only way they could process what I was showing them was by convincing themselves that you must be violently ill and dying every night and then coming back and doing it again the next day purely for the followers. So yeah, man, you've inspired people and you've turned off a lot of people. You made a lot of people angry. And the content does push buttons. You're sitting there eating extreme slabs and slonking eggs. You're a slonk. You know what slonking means? You use the term.
Yeah.
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 You're
I'm a slonker.
you're an egg slonker.
But the thing is like the reason that it looks extreme is because
Conditioning.
there's so much propaganda to tell
Yeah.
you that your natural diet is not your natural diet to keep you sicker. That's like, so like to the people in the community of eating raw meat and believing it's the natural diet for the human, they're like, just think about in that mindset, like you're eating the natural food for the animal that you are, and the entire world goes fucking insane and you make the newspaper. That's just crazy. Like you're living in a time where people are so brainwashed that eating the healthiest food possible gets you on the news in every single country. I was on the news in Thailand and like just like all over the world,
See, yeah, that's the thing about my content too. And the reason I know nobody ever wants to talk about me is because you don't want to put attention on something, because actually you help it grow and blow up. And so
Yeah.
you're actually doing, like a service to people by getting out there and taking these arrows, because you're providing a possibility to people who may have a chronic illness that could benefit from this, or just a shift in their consciousness by understanding that hey, what else am I being lied about? Why is this inverted? What else is inverted? You're
Yeah.
creating a shift in awareness, which I think is super important, because
It helped tons of people. And like, some days I would wake up and like, you're just attacked constantly, like I didn't expect it to grow that high. And like a lot of it was extremely fun. I met tons of good people, but like you're just attacked all day, every day when you're doing something like that. I'm sure you're the same. So it's like,
you're over the
but then,
target.
but then you get tons of DMs that are like I'm not, and I never told people on my page like to eat raw meat. It was like, this is like bringing attention to something, but all of the captions were just like, these are ways to get better quality. Like, this is how shit works. This is like, you'll be fine eating meat, fruit, and vegetables from decent sources. And so everything was just about like just eating a little bit better to make yourself feel better. And like just a bunch of histories and like different tribes eating different shit. And like, like 7 foot tall Native Americans that like worshipped the liver of animals. So I was just trying to teach people normal shit through something more extreme. But like, yeah, just getting tons of DMs. Like I lost weight, like even from like other huge meme pages, because like they all knew me from before. So like tons of meme pages were just like, hey, like I fixed a bunch of problems that I had because like I learned from your page and shit. So like it was never about like you should eat 100% raw meat forever or else you're stupid. It was just like, here's some shit you've never probably thought about and that could help you.
I'm surprised you haven't done like a Super Size Me type, documentary. I mean, maybe I could help you do it. All your clips and stuff. I've been editing
Yeah.
like crazy lately, making all kinds of documentaries of my own. Like I said, the Float Center. I'm doing a 2-hour documentary on my 2 years at the Float Center, which is going to lead into our post float glow show where people like you, we went floating. And before we get into floating and stuff like that, I wanted a few more points about the raw diet. Raw milk is anabolic. I heard you say that. Like, what does that mean?
Um, I don't think I've personally said that. Maybe they said it on the Mark Bell podcast
Oh,
or
yeah,
something.
I heard that on that one. Yeah. Is it? I mean, what does
Yeah,
that mean when they say that?
I don't know. Those dudes are all into
Does it
steroids really
give you more?
hard.
What I'm saying, does it give you more testosterone? Do you feel like more of a man by drinking raw milk?
Well, all of these like raw foods will raise your testosterone.
Yeah. Have you noticed
Just
like things like that, like a drop in voice
well,
or
like
more body hair, stuff like that?
not really, but a certain few things did change a little bit. But
Like
just
what changed? What were the biggest noticing changes of this
like you just
diet?
feel like your body is working better, more
Right.
normally.
Right. You feel
Like
solid.
yeah, like solid, like less taking naps during the day and shit.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're more stable energy. Like I used to get like dizzy all the time and like I don't know. I think it was from just trying to live off like carbs and shit. Like maybe I was eating too many bagels with hummus or like too much
Yeah.
fruit in the kale shake and shit.
Smoking
Like
weed and eating kale. Yeah.
yeah, like I still use the blender, the same like vegan blender that I have, but I'll put like liver and chicken hearts and raw milk
Oh
and
God.
shit.
Oh wait, hold on. You mix all this shit together and you eat it? Oh.
Yeah,
What
I
do
was
you does it
chugging chicken hearts and shit on the page.
do you not have any gag reflex at all? Because this is my issue with like a lot of these things, like the urine therapy, and then your stuff is like I have a hair trigger gag reflex because I think it's all mental, of course. But
Yeah,
do you
I don't
are you not like do you
I don't
not
have it,
gag?
but
Nothing.
I never went into the urine thing, but
Right. Do you eat bugs? Have you ever eaten a bug?
no, I'm not like against it, except that it's being like pushed, you know?
But it seems like you have no gag reflex, so you could eat.
Like
Like,
I would
is there any
if I
food
was
you
in
don't
a
like? I don't like
if
onions. Is there any food you don't like at all? Like you hate? I hate onions. What do you not like?
kind of like mayonnaise, I guess.
Oh yeah, mayonnaise is gross.
I think that's the only food I don't like, but I'd eat anything. Like if I'm somewhere and somebody's eating something, I would eat it.
I wish I was like that, dude. I watch some of these shows.
It took me a while to be like that because I used to just like, as a kid, it was just like go to McDonald's and eat a plain cheeseburger
Yeah,
with no toppings at all. Like I didn't try ketchup till I was like 12.
yeah, sugar
Just
and
like,
tomato
I
juice.
wanted everything just like plain. Yeah.
Oh yeah, same here. I still go to McDonald's and I'll eat the. I hate to admit, I still get. Do you eat fast food at all still, or is that all done for you?
Once
No,
in a
no.
while. Yeah.
Okay. I
Like I'm
still am
not
guilty of getting a McDouble and with just plain, just bread, cheese, and meat.
McDonald's. I
Yeah.
think McDonald's is like possibly the best restaurant of all time, but I
Well,
feel like
no,
shit after I eat it.
why do you say that? I agree.
Just purely on taste. Like
Okay.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
like the company's horrible,
Yeah.
like the food is horrible for you, but like it tastes good as fuck. Like the French fries are extremely good.
Yeah,
The
but they
chicken
don't.
nuggets
They
are
never
good.
deteriorate though. That's the problem with the McDonald's. So you can sit
Yeah,
it
it's not
in a
real food at all.
you can sit it in a corner and it'll be the same state in 15
You
years.
would definitely be better off never going there, but like purely off taste. Like they've spent billions of dollars like scientifically making it taste good, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And a lot of people in the health community, oh, shit, I dropped again.
It's
A
all
lot of
good.
people in the health community, they'll be like, once you eat healthy foods for a while, like you'll think McDonald's tastes bad. And that never happened to me. I go like once a year. Um, and like, I don't know, I went to Taco Bell with some like meme friends
Yeah.
like a few months back and like it wasn't as good as I remembered,
Oh
really.
yeah. Oh yeah. That's a
I don't
stoner
know.
food. That's a
It was like $6 for like some sloppy fucking taco. Like the prices don't match it anymore, you know? Like it used to be you could go to Taco Bell for $10 and like die.
yeah.
But now it's like Cost me like $25 to get full there.
Somebody told me that, and I looked it up, and I think it is the company that makes like the dog food is like the owners of Taco Bell as well. And they're like, dude,
Oh, really?
they're like that meat at Taco Bell is just straight up the stuff they're giving to the dogs too. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? He goes, it's the same company. I go, really? I go, and I looked in it, and he's like, oh, well, he was right. So I mean, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
the dog meat,
Wouldn't-
but it's a parent company.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. A lot of people say that McDonald's is like human flesh too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen quite a few videos. In fact, you know what? I'm going to tell you this. I might not post it later, but have you ever seen Andy Warhol eating a Big Mac? That video where he's like sitting on a desk and it's just him, and he comes in and he has a bag of McDonald's and he's eating. Have you seen that video? Okay,
No, I haven't.
it's a very famous Andy Warhol movie, and it's about 5 minutes long. He sits there, he sits down, he eats a McDonald's, and they wraps it up and he walks away. Well, I'm
Mhm.
gonna do that same exact video, but then next to me, I'm gonna have that. I don't know if you've seen the video of like the rabbi saying that we take the children and we take the blood and then we take the bodies and we send them to McDonald's, and then the goyim eat their own children and they pay
I
us to
haven't
do it.
seen that.
So I'm gonna play that video while I'm eating the McDonald's. And I'll start like
Yeah.
puking and stuff. Pretty
That'll
extreme,
be
but
a good collab.
yeah. So another thing before we kind of, I got a couple more minutes here. We'll keep going, but the raw milk is or raw meat helps jaw, breathing, and dental hygiene. That's something I picked up on one of these podcasts. Is that true?
Well, when you eat, if I go like a day just eating raw meat and raw milk or something, just like everything is good. I don't wear deodorant, and like I smell only if I like go on a trip for like if I go on a trip for like 5 days and I'm just like eating at restaurants with my friends and shit, then like I'll start to smell and I'll like go buy a deodorant. But like
Mhm.
in normal life of not eating shitty foods, like you're not supposed to smell like shit. And like my acne is gone, like you're not supposed to have pus coming out of your face.
Right.
Without the kale shakes, like I was like farting all day.
Yeah.
Like you're not like these are all things that like show another animal of your species like don't mate with this one, they're doing something wrong. Like there's pus coming out of his face and he's
Right,
like
yeah.
he's shitting his pants all day. His arms smell like shit. Like these are signs that you're doing something wrong. Like they're not normal things that are supposed to be happening to you.
That's
So
a-
just all of that is better. Like I don't use toothpaste because I don't trust it, but I do brush my teeth every day just with water. And
Oh man, that's rough. Okay, so that's like I don't wash my hands really because
but it doesn't smell.
Right.
Like it doesn't smell if you're not eating shit that's bad. If I do
Right.
eat shit that's bad, which I still do, like I'm not ever trying to be perfect. If a friend's like want to go meet me at this restaurant, I'll go. So like I brush my teeth, I use deodorant like if I need to. But if I'm just like chilling, eating at home for 2 weeks, like I don't need any of that shit.
Yeah, I usually don't. I'm pretty healthy in regards to that kind of situation. I don't wear deodorant, and I only
Mhm.
need it if I'm in an extremely. I call it a stress sweat. If I
Mhm.
stress sweat, it smells bad. It's really some kind of pheromone or chemical, and that's a good segue for what I wanted to talk about next, which was females and the raw meat diet. And because I know this is an issue with like urine drinkers, every woman that has encountered me is like, "Do you do the urine drinking?" I'm like, "No, don't worry, I'm not piss breath."
Yeah.
But so, did you have a girlfriend prior to the raw meat experiment? Where you and do you have one now?
Yeah. Yeah. She was been with me through the whole thing.
So prior to this, like so what I'm saying is like this. So for example, like women will be on the pill, and
Like
then
we got together. We got together. I taught her. I was like, we're gonna run 2 miles every day and drink kale shakes all day and shit. Like
Okay.
that's what I thought was good at the time. And now I'm like, I think running is probably like bad for you. And I think kale shakes are mostly useless. So it's like I'm just gonna eat raw meat and like walk around at the beach looking at birds and
Yeah. Oh, that's
shit.
another thing I've noticed. I found your other page that you also have been hidden, like your bird. You're like, I guess you got rid of or you kind of abandoned your name, like your name page, like to the John Truby.
Yeah.
You don't go to that one anymore. You've kind of gone to this other one. I won't say it unless you want to say it because
Well, it just kind of went, yeah, like I did the raw meat thing. And I don't know, with the raw meat thing, it was all like, I don't drink alcohol. You don't need supplements.
Mhm.
It was kind of like a change in like a lot of my beliefs and things that I was pushing. And like my old pages were like, it was all just like heavy drinking and like
Yeah.
weed memes and like
Yeah.
cocaine and shit. So it was like just like a drug vibe, and like the people it attracted were all just like not like friends, but just like people that thought like the drug and like depression shit was fun.
Yeah.
So now I'm on more of like a less depression, less drugs, more healthy eating and like nature vibe. You know, just like
Dude, it totally makes
so
sense
it's like
that
a
you've
total
yeah.
opposite thing. And I'm like, I don't know. I never told anybody my name on Raw Meat Experiment.
Yeah.
So I made the other page, and it's just like, those are all Raw Meat Experiment people that
Oh,
just
okay.
want to be
Gotcha.
friends,
Right.
want to be
Gotcha.
friends. But like, I didn't want to mix like the old like drug meme people with
Okay.
like the
Yeah,
the
no,
like healthy eating people.
yeah. That makes
So
sense.
it just like, I don't know. I just like, I'm sure I'll change my entire vibe again. You know, like it changes all the time, but this is just like a different wave of energy.
Well, that's the thing. I've totally experienced that on my own. I've had to abandon certain accounts because I'm just not there mentally for that. And for me, I came into memes depressed. That's how I found memes. You're sitting on your phone, you're
Hmm.
smoking weed, you're in a very unhealthy lifestyle. You're sitting around in a room, or like you're not out breathing fresh air and interacting with real people, and you're depressed. And so it was this
Hmm.
reflective mirror online of people like you who are also kind of searching for
Yeah.
answers, or they were depressed. I mean, a lot of depressed people. And
Hmm.
as you phase shift, you shift out of that. It's you can't hang out there anymore with a bunch of depressed people.
Yeah.
You want to move on.
Yeah.
The reason I asked about your girlfriend was, like, for example, when women take birth control and then they get off, a lot of times
Hmm.
they look at their man and be like, oh, like I think the birth control like hinders their pheromone system
Yeah.
somehow, where
It make
they're picking wrong guys, and then they get off
yeah,
of
it
it and
makes
they're
you
like,
attracted to somebody that you're not.
it makes you attractive to beta cucks in my experience of because I've
Hmm.
never dated a girl on birth control. I guess I've never been a beta cuck, but I've just noticed over the past few years that and it's not just, and I'm glad I remember this, because another thought I had was, why can't I get a hold of John? Like, what is the fucking problem? And then I stopped smoking weed for a few days, and then you finally like got to me, and I'm like, wait a minute. What I believe is true, that your vibe attracts your tribe, you're on a certain frequency level, and I was on a very hardcore weed trip, and you're not. You're very clean, and your vibration is different than mine, because we were once very similar, and we kind of like phase shifted. You did with
Hmm.
all your health stuff, all your cleaning your life out and changing, and then finally the linchpin for me was the weed, and everything else, like the jerking off, all this,
Hmm.
the bad eating, all this stuff fell with it. So I just needed to pull
Yeah.
that one pin out. But I tried pulling some of these other pins out. I'm like, well, I can smoke weed and eat okay, or I can smoke weed and not jerk off. But
Hmm.
no, the weed thing had to be pulled out, and then everything else collapsed with it. So, and now we're talking. So that's just interesting, with birth control and then the eating food. That's why I wanted to ask about your girlfriend was,
Yeah.
maybe you were
She
dating this woman in an unhealthy situation, and you lost that
yeah.
girl, and then you found a new girl because you phase shifted.
Yeah. With the raw meat and dating, I know a lot of people in that community have trouble, but they all find each other pretty
Hmm.
easily. But yeah, my girlfriend, she was just like, whatever. I trust that you've figured this out and know what you're doing. And then she watched me do it so much that she's just like, this is insane how mad people get about something that's normal. Like, she's seen it so much that it's normal now.
Yeah, it's not even politics. You're not even telling people to jab or wear a mask, or vote a certain
Yeah,
way, or it's
it's
just like
literally
food,
about setting your food on fire or not.
right? Like, yeah,
It's
it's
so
crazy, and that's
it's
why.
crazy how emotional people get. And like they teach you in school. There's like this one book I've read, it's like the cooked ape theory or whatever,
Hmm.
that like monkeys started cooking food, and then like it led to them getting more calories, which turned them into humans. So like we're humans because we cooked food. It's like you're believing like the dumbest fucking theory I've ever heard.
It is
Like
because they're not
if you
cooking them
actually
now.
read it, yeah, and it's like fire, just there's certain nutrients that fire destroys.
Yeah,
Like how would destroying nutrients make you turn into another animal? And if that is true, then it means that we're dumber than monkeys because we're getting less nutrients.
yeah. No, I don't like that theory. I've never heard that one, but I can tell you right now, the monkeys aren't out there in the woods cooking to this day. So what happened?
Yeah,
Like, that's just
yeah. I
stupid.
read the guy's entire book, and like there was just so many parts where I'm like, I can't believe you're actually a professor in a college and published this under your name. Like some of this shit is so fucking stupid. He says that modern dogs can't live on raw meat,
Well, you know
and
why
it's
it
like
is.
there's
I'm
thousands of modern dogs doing it. Does Facebook groups with tens of thousands of raw feeding dogs. Like,
Well,
you have to do no research at all to fucking think that's true.
well, you know why that is. People like that are propped up because they support these, I'm not gonna say,
Yeah.
certain agendas, but they definitely,
Yeah,
are another
he's a top level college professor, so I'm sure he goes to the right meetings.
propaganda to keep people like, yeah, shooting you down and trying to get you banned and leaving nasty comments. You ever have any stalkers from this meat account?
Not too bad.
That's good. Yeah. I mean,
I had way more just on like the regular drug meme pages,
yeah.
like
Okay. So
the like colored hair
that's a good transition there because
people.
that's one of the last thing I want to talk about before we wrap it up, which is floating and psychedelics. No, we did floating many times and psychedelics. We had a great trip and on the beach. It was a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
Where are you these days on that? Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is something people should look into? Can it be helpful? What do you think about psychedelics now that you've gone through this journey?
I think it's I'm not really sure. Like, I'm glad I've done it a lot. I've probably tripped on mushrooms like 200 times
Right.
now. I did acid like 5 times. I'm glad I've done them, and I'll probably do mushrooms again in the future.
Right.
But right now, well, I'm just like, I'm a very like all or nothing person.
Right. Yeah,
So
you
I've
are.
had like if I drink caffeine, I'll spend $20 a day on caffeine and like fuck up my whole schedule permanently.
Mm-hmm.
If I have weed, I'll keep smoking weed all day
Mm-hmm.
and like I'll never leave the house. If I drink, I'll drink 75 drinks in one night and like die for the rest of the week. And what else? Nicotine.
You have
If I
addictive
vape,
personality.
if I vape or
Yeah.
use cigarettes, like I just have to do it 24/7. So like it's either I do it or I don't with those things. With
Yeah.
mushrooms, I don't think that's true at all. So like mushrooms has just been sitting there like maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I did it like last time I did it was like 2 years ago. And I just like I forget. I listened to like some jazz album over and over again and I was just like longboarding in California for like 7 hours straight. And it was like the most like euphoric feeling I've ever had in my life. But then, like towards the end or like when you come down and the next day you feel like a little bit shittier. And I was just like, since then I haven't done it. I gave like my buddy mailed me like 4 ounces of mushrooms to my apartment. So I like gave the rest of them away to my friends.
Nice.
And I just haven't done it since then. But I think I will. But
when you know,
have,
though. When you know,
I have no like certain future plans with it.
Right. Well, that's a good thing. I think because I'm not really craving going into those spaces, and I've talked to a lot of people about it. They're like, "Oh, you kind of like figured it out." Once you look through the microscope and understand the nature of what, again, it's ineffable. We'll never really understand it, but once you kind of get the idea of why we're here and what psychedelics are, and I do believe that you can reach a point, and some people don't reach that point. They'll never understand them. They think they're whatever. I'm still on the fence with promoting certain psychedelics. My general rule is if it's plant like ayahuasca, it's been around for 5,000 years, mushrooms, 5,000 years. Weed, again, like my issue with weed now is I'm never going to smoke until I make $1 million, and then I'm going to grow my own. I'm buying this discount dispensary weed, and with God knows what. I had a guy tell me the other day, he's like, "Oh, dude, they're spraying fentanyl on the weed." I don't know if that's true, but if they are, that makes why am I so addicted? Like maybe they are putting shit in there that does make you keep coming because they engineer the food that way. Like the processed food is engineered to keep you coming, just like this water has salt and all kinds of stuff to keep you're more thirsty when you're done drinking this than before.
Well, your theory on drugs, if it existed back then, it's fine.
Right.
That's like my same theory with food and also drugs. Like weed and money was like a big part of it. Like if I didn't have to make money, like I'd probably be smoking weed at the beach, but like I need money to survive and like I don't have any extra
right
at this time. Maybe not ever, but yeah, it's just like we're in a time where like unless you're growing it, you have to like exchange labor and then like purchase it. I was like buying it from the shops or whatever, and like I got a lot for free too. But it's like part addiction, part money. Like the money, like I don't know. I did the math, and like on my like low estimate, I was spending like $750 a month
on weed,
not just weed, on everything.
I'm 500.
So it's like 100 on coffee, like 100 on vaping, like you go to a bar twice a month for $100. You know, I
Yeah.
added everything on like the low.
Yeah.
So like the things that I quit, I'm like,
$700 a month on vices.
yeah, $700 a month, and like I was making like 4,000 or 3,000 or something. So I was like 25% of the time I'm working is just for these things that aren't really necessary to me. So
And
I'm like,
also,
if I work for like 80 years or whatever, it's like 20 years of working is just for vices that like make working less miserable
right.
or
Well,
whatever.
for me also, one of the things with quitting weed for me was like the opportunity cost. Not only am I spending $400, $500 a month on weed, which is ridiculous, and again, I'm buying
Mhm.
it discounted, so if it wasn't discounted, I'd be spending close to 1,000.
Yeah.
Because with the dispensary, you got emails, you got, you know, texts, hey, we
Mhm.
got 50% off, you know,
Yeah.
99% THC weed. I'm like, okay, I'm there. Um, so for me, it was like, not only am I spending this much money on it, but the opportunity cost of being stoned and tired and, you know, not going the extra mile with people or on projects
Mhm.
or, you know, as an artist, you have to always be out there creating. Nobody's going to, you know, give it to you. You have to hustle. And so for me, I was like, it was not only the cost, but the opportunity cost of like, man, I'm missing out on work and, you know, I'm not
Mhm.
hustling like I used to. And I just gotta, you know, I gotta stop. So I just did it because I got tired doing it, and like having smoking weed was like having a cup of coffee. I didn't even feel anything. The last day I couldn't even get flour. I was frustrated because you could only get a certain amount every month at the
Yeah.
dispensary. And on my black market people, I couldn't get a hold of them. I'm like, so I had to go to the dispensary and like get something to crave that, you know, that urge. I got a $60 bottle of tincture about that big,
Mhm.
and I got it on sale for 30.
Yeah.
I went home and drank half of it. I felt nothing. And then half hour later, I drank the rest. Felt nothing. I'm like,
Mhm.
this is dumb. This is just dumb. I just wasted $30. I didn't get anything out of it except to stop feeling bad from not having it. So
Yeah.
you've been a big inspiration even for me these past, especially following this experiment. You know, like what I
Mhm.
appreciate is the honesty, because that's the other thing I'm really concerned about when I watch stuff online. Who's paying for this? What's the propaganda?
Yeah.
What, you know? But with you, I know you personally. I know it's real. I know you're eating the meat. I know you're being honest, and it just resonates.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't know you, I would be like, man, this guy, I know, this is interesting. Like the piss drinkers, like I know. I mean, is that apple juice? Probably not. These guys are really drinking it, and they're
Mhm.
saying that there's all these benefits. Now I can't get there. My urine isn't clean
Yeah.
enough to want to drink it because I'm eating, McDonald's and shit all the time still. But maybe if I can drink coconut water every day for a month, maybe my urine would taste good.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like,
It's
I
hard
d-
to trust people online, and especially even in the health world. Like a lot of people, I'm like, their information's pretty good, but it's like
yeah.
everybody's selling a supplement or a
What's the
course
scam
or
exactly? What's the scam? What are you
so
trying
I
to
was like,
sell me?
I don't want to, I want mine to be clean of that, you know? And
And
it's
that's
like,
yeah,
and I was also just promoting, you don't need any of that fucking shit. Like stop wasting all your money on, you don't need a coach to tell you to eat fucking meat and vegetables, you know? People have been doing it for a fucking billion years. You
yeah.
don't need any of these supplements. Like all these supplements come from food, so just eat the food. And like the supplements are old and shitty and added with fake shit anyway. Like you, if you're trying to eat a supplement to balance out your shit, like it's going to get more unbalanced than you started. Like there's no way to use like specific things because all food in nature comes perfectly balanced.
Right.
It's like
There's like a synergy to it too. It's like extracting, like with cannabis, you extract the oil and it's like you miss all the part of the plant, and
yeah,
it's a totally different high. It's like
yeah, exactly.
yeah. Well, cool, man. Shout out to, this isn't Tampa Floats behind me. This is like my default picture here, but we went floating 2 weeks ago at Tampa Floats. I did full video. I did multicam actually. You guys will see this in probably a month or two. You'll see John's episode. I think he'll be like episode 4 or 5. My favorite episode so far I've recorded, because I've done this before. You're my friend. You're somebody in the, not only in the meme community, but now health and wellness. You know, you're a big part of that.
I'm getting invited to like speak at like keto conventions and shit. I'm like,
Nice.
I don't want to do it, but like,
You got to.
I, I
You
like,
got.
I don't know. It's funny being involved in something just completely fucking different.
Well, what is your plan
And
outside of?
Sunny told me, he was like, Sunny randomly found the page one time when it was like 50K or something, like blowing up. And he was just like, this is just fucking insane how you can like just come out with a completely new fucking thing all the time and like blow it up online without like without using any of your old shit, just like
Right.
blowing
Yeah.
up a completely new topic. He's like, I don't know anyone that's done like multiple things like that.
Well, I know what your secret sauce is because I have it too. It's called extreme honesty, to the point
Mm,
of, and I've almost made it a point not to sell or really have any kind of like monetary with Float Universe, is because I don't want people to think I'm getting up to do this to get support, to get financial support. I want you to
yeah.
know I'm just having a good time. This is my experience with drugs and floating and whatever else, meditation, blah blah blah, jerking off, not jerking off, eating meat, whatever.
Yeah.
Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. Like my whole quest right now is DMT. I've had like 5
Hmm.
interviews straight with people who are, some are against, some are for it, and I want to know. I'm going to go back into it now that I've stopped smoking weed. I'll maybe do some ayahuasca. Definitely going back into the NN DMT. Have you done DMT?
I actually haven't.
Well, maybe we can do that together
Yeah.
if you're
Like
interested.
there was a few times I was like close and like my friend would like run out, my friend that made it. Like I would get there and he was like, I smoked all of it. He would go pretty hard, but
Nice. So, are you opposed to DMT at this point? Are you in your
I'm not
journey?
opposed. I
Okay.
just like I don't trust the people that have had it when I've been around. I'm like,
Right.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Well, that's really important for DMT, the set and setting of the people around you. I definitely think that in any psychedelic experience, people's energy field, just by default, they don't have to say anything, just like their aura and who they are can bleed
Mhm.
into your trip, let alone they start having a bad trip.
Yeah.
But we had a good time, and anytime you want to go floating again, we'll be hooking that up, and
Yeah, let's go to the other
we
Tampa
will.
one.
And
What's the I want to finish with one last thing I just remembered.
oh yeah, go
So
ahead.
the last time that I tripped on mushrooms, but in LA when I was like skateboarding and shit, I so I was drinking for like a couple weeks before that. I would blend up milk with raw milk and raw liver in a blender, and it would come out like this, like it looked like a strawberry milkshake, and I would drink them. And I was doing it just to see if like the nutrients helped me. But when I was tripping sack on mushrooms in my apartment by myself, I was like, I'm gonna make this again and see what it tastes like on mushrooms. And like I was like this, like my like mindset just completely changed. So like this is good. I'm like, I know this is good,
Mhm.
and I am going to enjoy this. And I just like, it was the first time I ever drank it, and I was like, this is insanely good. And from that point on, like it stayed even when I wasn't tripping. I was like, I like this now.
So
So
the
somehow I like flipped a switch that was like, I know this is good and I'm going to enjoy it. And then like from then on, I did.
so you think the mushrooms might have influenced the raw meat experiment,
In a way.
like to say
And
that
this
to
one
help
of
you?
the other, there's a dude on Instagram called the Real Natural Human Diet, and
Oh yeah.
he's been eating raw meat for like 6 years probably. And like I always shout him out because like he's the first Instagram account I found of somebody doing it. And we've talked in the DMs a shitload, and he was talking about like every raw meat person he's ever become friends with has like a psychedelic mushroom story like towards the beginning of it. So he said like he doesn't know anybody that doesn't really.
I need to do some mushrooms and get on this raw meat shit.
Or you should talk to him maybe someday.
Yeah, your vibe attracts your tribe. Maybe it'll be like a magnet pulling me in. But
Because he got a lot of people into it.
yeah. Well, again, it's for me. It's about you find out about it, and then you're like, okay, where can I get it? And then it's like a sustainability. How can I continue to get it? Can I afford it? And
Hmm.
what for me, again, all these things are about my gag reflex, and I think that's
Hmm.
a huge mental aspect to that. Because
Yeah,
obviously some people can just transcend
I
it
would
and
say I would say for you, just find raw milk and get like a
go
gallon a
from
week,
there. Okay. Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm
and
gonna
that's
use your
it.
little.
Don't even plan anything past that. Just be like, I'm gonna try raw milk. It has the living enzymes, and like you know how like people that are lactose intolerant can drink raw milk because like
Mhm. Right.
you can digest it because it's actually the actual food. It's like they only can't digest the cooked one at the store because it's not complete.
Well, that's why A2 was a big thing for me because everybody started talking about A2 milk. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck are you talking about? Different cows and different, types of milk. It's all mixed together, and the kind I'm drinking, that's why I'm bloated. And I really like milk, but it's like, it's disgustingly bloating for me. And I tried the A2 zero
Mhm.
bloating. I'm like, wow, what a difference, just a little tweak here. It's like, and
Yeah.
I also think as I shift my vibration, I'm entering into a like I don't think reality exists in some kind of solid thing. I think that it kind of
Mhm.
can magically morph into whatever you're ultimately attracting. Like it brings
Mhm.
more of that in and less of it out. And so as I shift into different modalities, that I might meet somebody today that could offer me raw milk. I'm attuned to
Yeah.
it now. I'm open to it. I'm shifting
Yeah.
into that reality. And so always a pleasure. You're episode 100. You're going to be part of my episode 100 extravaganza. You're going to be, the full episode will be for everyone to hear for free. If anybody wants to hear my solo part of the extravaganza, that'll be on the other side of the paywall at Patreon. But the John interview will be free for everybody. That's one of my philosophies is if you're giving me time for an interview, I don't want to charge for it. You're giving me the information for free. I want to continue that down the line. So I encourage everybody to check out the Raw Meat Experiment. Where can they find you?
Yeah, I guess basically just the Instagram Raw Meat Experiment. I don't post much on the timeline. I post in the story a little bit, but I'll go months without posting at all. So
well,
if you're interested in that information for any reason, there's 200 extremely long captions that people thought were pretty funny and intriguing, that you can scroll down and read. But other than that, I don't know. I'm not.
Well, that's the other thing. All you have to do is go into Google and type raw meat experiment. And actually one of the things that came up is like raw meat experiment guy still alive. You know how you like when you type it into Google, like raw meat? Yeah, that's one of the things that is like underneath it.
Yeah.
And so you can, I've got 4 articles here right now just pulled up. I've got Whole Foods renegade vows to eat raw meat daily until he dies from bacteria. That is The Takeout. I read the New York Post one. You were on the mirror.co.uk, which was, let me see what they're trying to say here. Get this freaking ad out of my way. Let's see here. Come on. Oh, man on verge of insanity after eating only raw meat. And that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a totally a lie. These are all this is all fear porn, by the way, all these articles.
Yeah. I never said once in any, people are like, you can't live off only meat. Like they'll say that all the time. I'm like, first of all, there are people who do. And second of all, I've never said that I do that. Like I post pictures, I'm eating like freaking kimchi and pineapple and shit. And they're like, why don't you eat fruit? I'm like, I've said the entire time that I do.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing.
I was like, my thing is just like, okay, if I think raw meat is healthy, it doesn't mean I have to only eat raw meat. Like,
right.
If you think kale is healthy,
right?
Like if you think kale is healthy, you're not going to only eat kale. It's like you're going to add it into your diet somewhere. Like if you want to just eat raw fish once a month, like that is going in the direction of being healthier. Like nothing has to be complete. Like you don't have to only eat something. If you think raw meat is healthy, then like, drink raw milk once a month or eat a raw egg every morning for breakfast or something,
Yeah. Well, you've proved it with the Raw Meat Experiment that you can just eat meat and, not only thrive, not only survive, but thrive, right? You've gotten better, your skin, your life.
Everybody will feel better. Yeah.
Yeah. And one last thing I want to talk about, because it's super important, because it's like a crossover, like, because Dr. Phil, it is, he was the Eminem meme. He's in a lot of different memes. I would consider him part of the meme lexicon, at least in the past 10 years. And you, as a memer, have transcended, really, I think, to be on the Dr. Phil show. This got so big that Now, how did that happen? How does
he had no idea that like I had any humor involved in it. I think I was just thrown in there. But
how do they reach out to you? How does this start? Like, who gets a hold of you?
Now, 450 days ago, John began eating primarily raw animal products and posting videos and blogs about his experience on his Instagram page called Raw Meat Experiment. He says that his mental and physical health has improved drastically since starting his journey, and even jokes that he won't stop until bacteria kills him. Take a look.
I've been eating a raw animal-based diet for about a year and a half now. I've probably eaten over like 1,000 pounds of raw meat. I just had a few health problems, cystic acne, some rugged back pain, and chronic fatigue. I tried plant-based for quite a long time, a few years, and that either made the problem stay the same or slowly get worse. I learned how meat can actually be healing for people. After a while of adding that back in, I started to feel better, and I just started craving more raw. I did some research into some studies on how heat can destroy certain nutrients. I was like, well, if I'm paying like $9 a pound for ground beef, then I better get every single nutrient in that thing. I posted a video every day for 200 days in a row. It caught on pretty quick. It's like everyone will buy sushi like at a gas station and say that's safe, but then I eat a big hunk of raw salmon and I'm crazy. It just makes me feel a bit better. The digestion is easy, and there's also just a certain comedy to it. Like, I do think it's a little bit funny as well.
John, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for
Really?
having me.
That's hard to watch. Do you actually like the taste of raw animal products?
The videos are a little dramatic, I admit, but yeah, it depends what it is. Like the raw fish and seafood, that's pretty normal and tastes good. And when it comes to like raw beef, it doesn't really have a taste. Like you would expect it to be bad, but unless you like add other stuff to it, like spices, eating it plain is kind of just like eating a salad without dressing, I guess.
What's that?
That right there, that's ground beef in an ice cream cone.
Yeah, and this is chicken breast?
Yeah, that's chicken breast from an Amish farm.
Yeah, my wife won't even handle raw chicken. I have to go get it out of the bag. And
I hear that a lot.
do you have a girlfriend?
Yeah, surprisingly, yeah.
Do you kiss her?
Yes.
Really?
Uh-huh.
With that mouth?
Sometimes I need to have a toothbrush in between, yeah, but...
Yeah, okay. Do you worry that you'll influence others to try this and they might get sick? Because you're a bright guy. I've read a lot of your interview and I watched, and you're obviously intelligent, you're articulate, you express yourself well, so you're no dummy. So you have to know that there's bacteria and all different kinds of problems with eating
Yeah,
raw.
so basically I think it all comes down to the quality of the food. I named the page Raw Meat Experiment, hoping that people see experiment and are like, he's testing this on himself, he's not telling us to do it. So I try to repeat many times that you don't have to do this to be healthy. It's working for me at this time. So I think a lot of like the sickness in bacteria and stuff like that, I think it's coming from like the factory farmed animals, because they're just in conditions that they would never be in nature. So I think if you're sticking to like really high quality stuff and sort of understand what you're doing, you're gonna be
Well,
mostly
that's
fine.
what you think, but there's science that contradicts that. And I don't really care what you think, I care what you know. And what you know is that there's bacteria in there, and when you get to like 160, 180 degrees, it kills that.
It was a guy, a follower that works at Dr. Phil.
Ah, okay.
So he was a fan. He knows like it's a comedy page, and like he just wanted me to go on. So he just like waited. It took like a year actually. Like he hit me up. We talked on the phone. He was like, you know how Dr. Phil works, right? Like they're not going to be on your side. And I was like, nobody on TV is going to be on my side.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I don't care. Like he can roast the shit out of me. You know, like I'm just doing it as a meme. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, so they finally, like a year later, had a food episode, and he hit me back up and he was like, do you want to go on? And I was like, I said yeah, and then like I was just gonna ignore them and not go because it's so much work to fly to fucking Hollywood and shit. But I ended up going because like my girlfriend was like, it's too funny to not go.
Dude, you had to. I'm glad you did.
So I went, and it was just like, they don't tell you shit. Like they put me in a hotel and they pay for the flight for one day, and they give you like $100 for food, which we spent in like 6 minutes in LA because like it was one restaurant was $100, and then yeah, they just pick you up. Like some funny motherfucker picked me up in a van, and like they bring you there. I sat in a room for like 6 hours and just like doing nothing, and they put all these clothes on me, and like they did like makeup and hair and shit. And yeah, the lady came in, she was like, so what outfits did you bring? Show me the outfit options. And I was like, I thought you guys, I came in a backpack, bro. Like I thought you guys were gonna have the clothes.
Yeah.
So they gave me their clothes, and yeah, I just went on. I in my head I had like answers to like hundreds of questions ready, kind of. Like I've answered all of these questions in comments 1,000 times. So like I can answer anything. But it was just like 3 or 4 minutes, like the intro, and then he was like, okay, we're gonna talk to the next person now. So like I thought we were gonna go way longer and like explain shit deeper. So I didn't really get to say anything, but like I there's no way to explain it anyway. And like
Well, yeah, it was basically exploitive, and you were on there for like 5 minutes, and you're with a bunch of other like
yeah,
potentially crackpot looking food people.
yeah. It's exactly what it was supposed to be. But there was a few people in like the conspiracy and health world too that were like, oh, he sold out to the Illuminati, he's on Dr. Phil now and shit. And it's like, do you know what Dr. Phil is? Like they put you on there to make fun of you, you know?
Right.
Like if I was at the blood drinking parties, like I wouldn't be being made fun of on Dr. Phil. Like I would be on like a talk show or something.
Yeah, you'd have your own gig. You'd be and that was
Dr.
another thing.
Dr. Phil only exists to like this person's doing something stupid and it makes like the boomers at home like taking pharmaceutical pills and watching TV feel better about themselves. Like I'm not as stupid as that guy, you know.
But I'm always a believer though, is like when you that's why I'm not worried about being hung out there to dry with some of my opinions is you're only going to bring more people that are like me, or you're going to wake up people to the fact that you're eating the wrong stuff, and this is potentially could heal your chronic
Yeah.
issues, like so I am a total believer in taking one for the team, because
Yeah.
by doing
and I
that
always
yeah
Yeah, and I always like I don't care about being made fun of, you know, like
dude, that's
and
it, that's another
also
that's your secret sauce,
that
that's
I'm
your secret
right.
sauce, that's your
I
secret
know that
sauce.
I know that I'm right in a way, and I also just I think being made fun of is funnier than
You
just going on to be normal.
you can take a joke. Okay. So your secret sauce is honesty and the ability to take a joke and embrace it. And, I was looking at your page again. It's like, yeah, you know what? Your the main reason why you blew up so quick and other people in that community haven't is because you have learned to harness the power of the meme. Okay.
Mhm.
You're able to take these complex ideas or these controversial ideas and put it, like I said, I try to microdose your reality with a meme on your
Mhm.
phone. Like you're just scrolling and it's mindless, it's sports, it's pornography, whatever. And then boom, there's a raw meat meme or there's a psychedelic meme. And it's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
what is this? And it totally can shift your mind in just a split second. And so that's, I think, so you got three secrets to John's success, in
Mhm.
my opinion: the ability to harness the meme, which can give you great traction, right? Sometimes a video
I
won't
think
give
the
you,
meme, yeah, the meme was the reason that it worked. And
I mean,
even the I'm going to eat raw meat in front of Whole Foods every day until I die. Like
right.
that was the original meme. And then I could also use all the formats because people would comment and be like, "What the fuck? You're actually good at making memes." Like nobody that talks about nutrition is actually good at making memes too. You
Exactly.
know,
So
like
that's
they make like really cringe like 2014 formats and shit. But
you truly
they
transcended.
yeah, they would comment and be like, "How the fuck can you actually do this?" And like, they didn't know that I've been doing it. Like, I survive off of memes for the past like 6 years, probably.
Yeah, that's always interesting when I watch some of those podcasts. These guys have no clue who you are. I'm like, dude, I know. I mean, he's transcended it. You met Dr. Phil, a meme, and you were on. You're on Know Your Meme now. Like you are
Yeah,
part of forever part of the lexicon of the
and
meme
like,
community.
yeah, and for so many years, like I was trying to be a meme, and like this, like I wasn't even really trying. Like I had like in my head, I was like, I like quit memes for like a year or two, you know.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't doing anything really. I was making memes behind the scenes for money for other pages. But yeah, then I did the raw meat thing because like I actually genuinely was interested in it, and that's what became the super meme.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you returned. I really wanted it to be 100. And I was going to pause the podcast until I got a hold of you. Even if you were going to be like, dude, I can't talk to you anymore. I'm controlled. I got an agent. You're a no go for me. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
whatever. But I was going to wait and hold the brakes on the podcast. But it's, divine timing and everything. I really experienced it, with our friendship coming back when I shifted my energy field, AKA stop smoking weed and embracing. And the thing is, as I get off this weed journey, I'm going back to the basics of what started me in the float university in the beginning, which is the floating and seeking God and understanding again some of these substances which I did experience like DMT, but didn't really understand or didn't get the chance to really fully explore it because of other things. And so I'm back and I'm going to go now with raw milk. That's my first thing I'm going to do, and we'll keep you posted. So find him online, Raw Meat Experiment, wherever you can type it in. You'll find articles, you'll find videos, you'll see the Dr. Phil skit on, it's not a skit, but you'll see the segment on YouTube. I was like, I couldn't believe I saw you on TV. I'm like, wow, this guy really, like, because you're part of my life. When I see friends that I know that are like real people on TV, I'm like, wait a minute, like,
it's fucked up.
Crazy. Like, this is.
And they made me look like such a nerd, like combing my hair over and shit.
I think you look good, but I don't. And I don't. And again, like, I think for people that are hip to what we're talking about, watch a segment like that, and they don't look at it as like an insult. They you know. Like,
yeah.
So
everybody on my team on my page was like, "That's fucking hilarious."
Yeah, man, you made it. You true transcendence. I really appreciate you coming back for episode 100, the extravaganza. Who knows how much longer we'll keep going, but I did want to get to 100, and I did want to repay you for the kombucha, the Prius video, and everything else that you've helped me with over these years. And it's been an awesome ride. So I look forward to whatever. Do you have any plans for anything next? Like any kind of like
not really
experiments or?
I've had a few ideas for like food experiments, but right now, I don't know. I just get into random shit. Right now, I'm interested in taking pictures of birds. So I'm
follow that, dude. Follow that.
I'm getting a camera tomorrow, and I'm gonna make a wildlife photography page.
What kind of camera?
It's a point and shoot.
I was gonna say, if you get
Nikon P950.
If you're gonna get a camera that you can put lenses on, get a Canon. Okay, I would recommend it because I got some lenses on.
This one was $600, and it's like it zooms in really fucking far. So it's like basically just a bird camera, but it's like a beginner one, and then eventually I get like the lenses shit. But
it's cool.
I'm gonna start a wildlife photography page, and like I think that's like a funny next step. It's like a very like bad idea, but memes, raw meat, wildlife photography.
I think it's
pages.
Great. Well, the thing is, you don't know what God has got in store for you as you accumulate all these tools of a meme, expert, a meat guy, all these things that you've done, all these things you put online, all these tools you've assembled. Who knows what the bird odyssey will be? And I look forward to there's nothing cooler when you can hear a bird and you know what bird it is. And you can name it and identify it. I'm the same way. And Florida's got a lot of great birds. So
it's a good place.
I look forward to the bird journey.
All right, I'll share that page on my story or something. You can see it.
And oh yeah, no, I follow it. I found it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that's how I know about it. I'm like, wait a minute, this is he stopped doing his John Trilly page with that, and he's over here doing this now. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So I followed it. I'm good, but always a pleasure. Cabbage Cat Memes, Raw Meat Experiment, John Trilly. Look him up online. Lots of great content, and go listen to our first podcast. You can see. And on YouTube, you can actually watch the video of his little journey. So, John, always a pleasure. As
thank you, bro.
I always say, you are enlightened. Have a great rest of your day.
We'll see you soon. Later.
Yes, sir. Later.